we're just going to slap, Bill Clinton's name on, something, anything, arbitrarily. Are you guys going to be cool with that?
So you're saying a Democrat would put Obama's name on a statue that isn't of him? That would make them look like the stupidest person that ever lived.
Hey guys, I'm Mike. And in this video, we're going to take a look at a moment from Abby Phillip's CNN show where MAGA pundit Scott Jennings, along with Joe Bell, tries to defend Donald Trump, floating the idea of renaming the Kennedy Center and apparently a few other things after himself. It's a pretty revealing exchange, and it raises some bigger questions about ego, power, and how far some people are willing to go to defend it. I'll share my thoughts after the clip, and then I want to hear what you think. As always, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. It's genuinely great to see people from all over the world sharing perspectives here, and if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. All right, let's watch the clip together.
Donald Trump continues to push the limits of his presidential power by transforming the nation's capital into his image. His latest project, a new class of Navy battleships named after him.
They'll help maintain American military supremacy, revive the American shipbuilding industry, and inspire fear in America's enemies all over the world. The U.S. Navy will lead the design of these ships along with me because I'm a very aesthetic person.
The fleet joins a growing list of federal programs and buildings Trump has rebranded. This week, the Kennedy Center board voted to change the name of its performing arts complex to the Trump Kennedy Center. And Democratic Congresswoman Joyce Beatty is now suing, alleging that change violates the law. She also says it looks more like something out of an authoritarian regime. The New York Times' Peter Baker argues that Trump has taken America's imperial presidency to a whole new level, and that Trump 2.0 is unleashed. He points out other things like Trump's massive ballroom, gold trim on everything, and little resistance from Congress or from the courts. Trump obviously loves putting his name on everything. And look, presidential names are on things in this country, but it's usually not done by them. It's usually done after they have left office, a lot of times after they have died. To be honest, that part of it is unseemly, and it seems to be much more reminiscent of, maybe you could call it authoritarians who do this type of thing. Peter Baker argues that it's a sort of imperial type of kind of thing that he's just sort of modeling himself after.
That's exactly what he's doing. Going back to what I said, because we want to run the table back on Scott on what I said. Republicans, if they can't win, they cheat.
You're still in the circle. You're still on the track.
And I'm going to help
Keep
you.
going.
Keep going. Keep following me. We're going to get it. That's why I'm sitting right next to you. I flew in just for you.
I'm worn out already.
Oh, well, then good. Then that makes this easy. This is light work. So Joyce Beatty literally tried to vote to go against that, and they muted her microphone. Let's not skip over that and talk about, his vanity. We know Trump loves seeing his name on things. With New York, his name is everywhere. Joyce Beatty, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, said that she was against that. They muted her mic during the vote. So the difference between Scott and I is Nina Turner, that was sitting right here with you, Scott, earlier this week. She actually was against what Newsom did with the redistricting. She actually spoke up on it and said Democrats should not go this way. See, there's something about the Democrat Party that at least says what's right and what's wrong. And next, Scott is going to sit here and make all of the excuses. I am, but I'm showing the difference between the party that you oppose.
Oh, I got it.
But see, Scott's going to sit here next, Abby. Let's just watch it all for everybody to see and make an excuse how Trump literally did not say that the vote was unanimous, and it absolutely was not. So I'd love to know what Scott has to say about it.
What happens when the next Democratic president, just decides, we're going to call it the Obama-Lincoln Memorial. We're just going to slap, Bill Clinton's name on, something, anything, arbitrarily. Are you guys going to be cool with that?
So you're saying a Democrat would put Obama's name on a statue that isn't of him? That would make them look like the stupidest person that ever lived.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because the Kennedy Center is literally a congressionally
it's a building
named, a congressionally named memorial.
It's not a statue.
It's not a statue, but it is a memorial to President John F. Kennedy. In the same way that the Lincoln Memorial is a memorial to President Lincoln.
But it's a statue.
So are you ready?
It has a likeness.
Are you ready for a Democratic president to slap their name arbitrarily on any?
I'm ready for Democrats to misname every statue in America. I think, to prove your point, I think that would be great for their party.
why did
It
they
would
mute
change
her?
all the names on
Why
the
did
statue.
they mute her mic? I don't want to skip
Other
over
than
that.
destroying
No,
the
this is
statue.
the party that's
No,
famous for tearing down Thomas
Yeah, got
Jefferson,
it.
for pulling
So,
down Christopher
I know you guys
Columbus,
wanna
for
skip
pulling
over
down this
that.
statue and that statue. If they want to put a statue up for Barack
Okay.
Obama,
That's
great.
great. Let's not skip over this, though.
I
Why
guess
did they mute her mic? I really want to know
She's
why
a
did they mute
non-voting member. She doesn't have a
but
vote.
why did
She's a
they mute? Why
non-voting
did they
member
mute
of
her
the committee.
mic?
She's
She
a non-voting
disagrees.
member of
She
the committee.
disagrees.
Right, I
She
understand.
said it was
She's a-
unanimous and it was
They have a
not.
committee, and then they let other people watch. She is one of those people who's a non-voting committee member. She doesn't have a vote, period.
But why did they mute the mic?
I wonder how President
she's probably
Trump
carried
has
on. I don't
all
even
this
question.
time to rename the institutions. Doesn't this guy have an economy to fix? Doesn't he have the 2026 midterms to prepare for? I mean, he just said he would personally be involved in designing these warships. I mean, that's just. Does the president not have a UFC fight to plan on the White House lawn? You know, somebody's got to get his priorities straight.
And also, I mean, just not for nothing, but I mean, are the aesthetics of these warships really the most important part of this whole thing?
I'm going to agree with you there. Probably low in the priority list.
Bipartisan consensus. We can agree with
I
that.
just
take.
wonder.
What's wrong with looking cool?
As a veteran,
What's
I
wrong with
salute you
looking
for being
cool?
fair.
Well, I would
Secretary
argue.
of War do it.
Scott just
you know?
can't do it.
Secretary
Shouldn't we
of War
look
should do it. Not the president.
I would argue.
Why can't we look cool
Secretary
and
of
blow
War.
stuff up?
Because I would
Are they
argue.
mutually
Because I would
exclusive?
argue.
So, I mean, I feel like these guys aren't even really trying anymore, right? Like listening to Scott Jennings here, just hearing the way he talks, the way he frames this stuff. I mean, what he actually said, if you didn't catch it, his retort was basically, why can't we look cool and blow stuff up? That was his answer. The question was whether the president should be directly involved in the design of a warship that's going to be named after him. And his response is, why can't we look cool and blow stuff up? So here we are, back in, what, second grade, third grade? Like that. That's the level we're operating on now. They're not even trying to make it sound like there's a rational argument anymore. They're not even pretending. And there is no defense of this. There just isn't. I've been saying for a long time that this stuff is insane. And I know a lot of us feel like we've been taking crazy pills for years now, but at this point, it's not even subtle. It's just completely off the rails. There's no seriousness left, no accountability, no effort to justify it in any meaningful way. And somehow we're all just expected to nod along like this is normal.
You should see them less if you think about it. They should be stealthy.
The only thing that we should care about when it comes to warships is their ability to do their job and their lethality and their ability to resist lethal attack.
Actually fight war.
I don't get it. But, look, here's more of what Peter Baker says. He says in his first year, Trump has unabashedly adopted those trappings of royalty as he's asserted virtually unbridled power to transform the American government and society to his liking. In both pageantry and policy, Trump has established a new, more audacious version of the imperial presidency that goes far beyond even the one associated with Nixon, for whom the term was popularized a half century ago. And it's hard to disagree with that because it's not just the aesthetics, as we've been discussing. He's also created a system in this country where everything goes through him. You want to merge two companies in America? Well, you got to go to the White House and ask President Trump if it's okay. You have to make decisions that he is going to like. Do you want to do trade overseas? Well, you have to go ask the president if you can do it, or if you can get a carve out for your business. If you are Saudi Arabia and you're coming to the United States, it's a flyover. It's a red carpet. He wants to basically emulate what he received when he went to the UK and was sitting with King Charles. That's what the imperial presidency really means. It's not so much just the naming of things.
Why is the metaphor of royalty something that's a negative when it's connotated with Republicans, but when it's John Kennedy and Camelot, it's always treated as this mystique and magic? And
well, I think it has to do with power.
Why isn't
right?
it
maybe
fair?
because Kennedy didn't behave like Trump.
I mean,
but in all seriousness, I think that's an interesting question. I think it has to do with power. Because hold on a second.
When did Mussolini put his name on something? Do we have any record of that?
Let me just answer your question. The Camelot reference, when it came to the Kennedy family, had to do with the sort of appearance of the family. It had much less to do with.
No.
4 beautiful children, right?
Which is fine.
5 beautiful
And look,
children.
if he wants
beautiful
to-
family. They're all
Just knock it off.
grandkids bouncing on his knee at
Joe,
the White
if he-
House.
if
No one's debating
If
his
he
looks
wants to
of his
describe
family,
himself
his
as
family,
Someone who's
as
not
That's not the
Camelot,
topic here.
Someone who's not blinded by partisanship.
If he wants
I look
to,
favorably
but
on the
listen,
way
I
Trump
think
and his
that's
family
fine.
act on the
But
White
Joe,
House the same way the Kennedys
Joe,
did,
I think
or Sasha
I think
Malia
that's
Obama.
fine. Nobody's disputing. I think if Trump wants to be Camelot of 2025 with his family, go for it. But I think the comparisons to the imperial presidency is about power. It's about how he uses power and how that contrasts with the principles of how this country was founded, which was actually against kings who had
Everything you
unilateral
said before,
power.
you said it
That's
before.
what I'm
Everything you
talking
said
about.
before was given his power by Article 2 of the Constitution. Everything you just discussed.
What about the tariffs? Is that
Article
actually
2 of the Constitution.
What about the
Yeah.
part where Congress said that tariffs
So
are
you said
explicitly
you
a
want to trade
congressional
overseas, you have to go to the president. Do you want to
Yeah.
do this? You have to go to the president.
Well,
Yeah. Those are all
listen,
things that are empowered
Joe,
under Article 2 by the president. The fact that this president
I
is
think that
personally
is
engaged
highly-
and not passing it off on bureaucrats is a step in the right direction, unlike President Biden,
I think that
who
that's,
just slept through
to
it
your
and
point,
auto-painted.
that is highly in dispute. Okay, we either are a free market or we're an economy that looks a lot like China or looks a lot like Russia, where you have to go to one guy and get answers on everything. You want to conduct commerce in this country, you got to go to one guy to get answers about whether or not you're going to be able to do that. If that's the kind of economy and country you want, get ready for the next president who does not wear your shirt color to do
We've
the
had
same
that.
thing.
We've
And are
had
you
that.
going to be okay with that?
Executive powers are vested in the President of the United States of America.
Okay.
That's the Constitution, period. The
all
fact
right.
that we have this bureaucracy.
Give me
to
an
help make
example.
decisions-
Give me an example of Democratic presidents doing what Trump has done.
No,
when it
I
came
just
to
said President
mergers
Biden
and-
slept through half the thing.
when it came
He
to
actually
mergers and
has power
acquisitions,
positions.
when it
His
came
unelected
to
staff.
tariffs.
He just has
Just
it.
give me an
He let his
example.
unelected staff
I'm
do everything.
legitimately curious. An example. Give me an example.
I'm giving you the opposite example. I'm giving you a
So in other
problem.
words, it has.
I'm giving you a problem.
In other words,
the problem was that
It
President
didn't
Biden
end
wasn't
well for
involved.
President
translates to
Nixon
no
either, by the way.
example.
President Biden wasn't involved. I think having a president that at least knows where he is, knows what people are doing, and having control over the decisions that the administration is making is a positive thing. Call me crazy.
And yet President Trump is less popular than President Biden was at this point.
And he's
You should
been
go to the
sleeping
auto
too. Yeah.
Next for us.
Well, I mean, I'm glad they're all having a good time, I guess. But again, Joe Belly just wasn't being serious here at all. He's comparing Biden's presidency to the autopan, and it's just memes. That's all it is now. It's just memes. And Abby Phillips even presses him and says, okay, so you'd be fine if a Democratic president were doing this, say Barack Obama? And he's like, sure, that's the presidency. Yeah, right, okay. So there's not really a good faith, serious conversation happening here. And honestly, there never really has been with MAGA pundits like this. But it feels like they've just exhausted themselves, like they've completely run out of ways to make this stuff sound rational. So now they're not even trying. Now it's just, oh yeah, what about the autopan? They're trying to be meme lords instead of analysts. And I'm sorry, I think it actually matters whether the president knows what he's doing. Have you watched Trump recently? Go back and look at earlier clips. He ran on Biden being the old guy. And now he's up there, honestly, it's like watching a snowman melt in real time. He's not in his right mind. Which is better? Look, I've got plenty of criticisms of the Biden administration. I'm not a Biden cheerleader. He wasn't my first choice. But there is no comparison here. Joe Biden actually got things done. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't this big progressive moment where everything moved forward all at once. But things did get done. What Trump is good at is tearing things down. That's it. Ripping the guts out of institutions, gutting agencies, letting things like Project 2025 and Doge-style chaos run wild. And Trump himself isn't doing it because he's deeply ideological. He's doing it because they'll do the work for him while he gets the gold statues and the ego boost. That's all he's ever wanted. So what you end up with is this marriage from hell between an ultra-right Christian nationalist movement that wants a kind of monarchical executive branch and a man who's more than happy to sign off on it. He doesn't even read what he signs. He hands out pardons like party favors. And look, I don't need to rehash every single example for you. You already know them. But these guys are supporting a tyrant. And I refuse to believe they don't understand that. I like to call them morons sometimes. But honestly, I don't think they're stupid. I think that's worse. I think it's deliberate. I don't agree with everything Bill Maher has ever said, not even close, but he did lay out a checklist years ago during Trump's first term about the road to authoritarianism, narcissism, putting your name and face on buildings, placing family members in power, holding constant rallies, having propaganda outlets, using office for personal financial gain, aligning with dictators, blaming minorities for national problems, lying so often people can't tell what's real anymore, going after enemies and keeping lists? Check, check, check. We're here. So yeah, I hate to end 2025 on such a down note, but something's got to give. This isn't normal. This isn't politics as usual. It's insanity. And the fact that even in a casual, friendly panel like this, Scott Jennings and Joe Belli don't even bother pretending anymore, that tells you everything. It's just, well, this is fine. Like that meme of the dog and the burning house. It's going to be an interesting 2026. Whatever else you want to say about 2025, it definitely wasn't boring. I didn't enjoy it much, but it wasn't boring. Let me know what you think in the comments. I really do read them, even when I disagree.